Richard Allen just filed for the transcripts from the in-chamber meeting, that court hearing from the 19th, and also the court hearing from the 31st. He had a special lawyer file for those transcripts, and the reason he did that, I will explain in this video.
Okay, Sam, thank you so much. And we are joined now by Katie Jackson Lindsay, who's a defense attorney and former prosecutor and has been following this case for us. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, lending your expertise to this. So let's jump right in. Does Judge Gull actually have the authority to go against Richard Allen's wishes to have his Baldwin and Rosie as his defense team, which has been his defense team for the last year?
Yes. So as a presiding trial judge, she does have the authority to issue an order disqualifying an attorney from representation in her court only for a case that is pending in her court only if she finds that those attorneys or that attorney has in some way violated the rules of professional conduct.
So what recourse does Richard Allen have now that this latest ruling has taken place? What recourse does he have to get the attorneys that he wants? Because he's indicated reportedly that he does still wish to have his original attorneys.
Well, if the judge does actually issue an order, it's not clear at this point from the chronological case summary that there has been an actual order entered into the case disqualifying them. But just like any other order that a court issues, Mr. Allen can ask that a higher court come down and review that ruling. What that's called is a petition for interlocutory appeal. So he would request that Judge Gull certify that particular issue, and if she agrees to do that, because that is completely discretionary, then a higher court, our Court of Appeals, would review that decision to determine if the decision that she made was the right decision.
This is a lot just watching this, but for him, Richard Allen, as you can imagine, he's been working closely with these people for the last year. So if he does not agree to go with the judge's decision, then what would happen?
Well, I think if he agrees that these attorneys are disqualified and they should be, he could move on, right? And we wouldn't hear anything else. If he does not agree, then he should take advantage of that process that I just described, and that is asking a higher court to come down and review that decision.
Which sounds like more time.
Yeah. How do these moves heighten the likelihood of an appeal, a successful appeal, if Richard Allen is eventually convicted?
Well, there's that two-part appeal, right? So all criminal defendants have the opportunity to have orders reviewed and issues reviewed in the middle of their case. That's an interlocutory appeal. I think it's highly likely that we could see something like that happen. And then there's that appeal upon final disposition if he's convicted. And I think based on all of the pleadings that have been filed and everything that's been before us so far, I think if there is a conviction, an appeal is a given here.
It is just very layered. Yeah. There are a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and it just seems to be getting more convoluted.
And meanwhile, the families of these two girls are going to wait another year. All right.
Potentially, yeah.
Katie.
Okay, so what we have here is that interlocutory appeal happening. This is like the precursor to it or whatever. This is an attorney that is requesting the transcripts from the 19th, the in-chambers meeting, and the 31st hearing, which the reason Baldwin and Rosie had to go to that is because they needed to get all this stuff on the record so that when they have those transcripts, then that's going to follow through to the appellate court. And some people think that like they're just dragging on and they just need to drop it. But in my opinion, this would actually be a good thing, because this is dealing with that issue right now, so that when we get further on in the case, there's not at least this issue to appeal. Although there's tons of other ones to appeal in this case, this one will at least be dealt with now. So that's actually good. So from what many YouTubers have been saying, you wouldn't expect the defense to be wanting these transcripts out, but they do. And so that kind of like says something to me. I don't know what it says, but they're obviously not trying to hide it. So I want to go through this lawyer that has made a special appearance just to represent Richard Allen in this particular part of his case to the appellate court. So she is an appellate and post-conviction representation. Since she opened her firm, she's handled hundreds of appeals and participated in numerous oral arguments before Indiana's appellate courts, including 14 arguments in the Supreme Court of Indiana and 6 oral arguments in the Indiana Court of Appeals. So this is like what she does. This is her specialty. So her first post-conviction exoneration was after discovering Lana's fingerprint was misidentified by the state's fingerprint examiner. Kara was able to obtain a reversal of Lana's conviction and secure her freedom after Lana spent 8 years in prison. Blake Lehman versus State of Indiana, known as one of the Ecart 4, Blake and 3 of his friends were convicted of felony murder when they were juveniles. On appeal, the Indiana Supreme Court reversed Blake's felony murder conviction. Blake's case was the topic of a Dr. Phil episode and a documentary, 1275 Days. And then the first appellate case in Indiana to address the constitutionality of Indiana's drug-induced homicide statute, Kara obtained a reversal of the conviction due to the lack of causation jury instructions. She also does litigation support. Kara has handled research, writing, and editing projects for other attorneys, including dispositive pretrial motions and legal memoranda requests for permission to seek an interlocutory appeal. So that is exactly what that lawyer at the beginning clip was talking about. And so that is what she is doing. Pre-sentencing considerations such as double jeopardy and post-trial motions. She has assisted counsel at the trial level in presenting and preserving legal issues for a potential appeal and discussing trial strategy. She has extensive experience arguing cases in Indiana's appellate courts, including 14 arguments in the Supreme Court of Indiana, 6 oral arguments in the Indiana Court of Appeals, and she's used this experience to prepare and moot for other attorneys for their upcoming oral arguments. Training. For a decade, Kara has presented at various continuing legal education seminars and workshops, training on topics such as appellate advocacy, parental rights terminations, forensics, offender registration issues, human trafficking, and Indiana's vacatur statute, and petitions for post-conviction relief. Kara was also an adjunct legal writing professor at her alma mater. So that is who is helping Richard Allen request these transcripts. For all those that think this is going to be damning evidence to the defense, I would argue that they would not have this lady doing what if it was going to make them look bad. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this informative. See you next time. Bye.